take with their comp, but a lot of focus on the early game is coming out from Vitality right now. And the thing is, when you draft a Renekton, you're also ideally looking for a strong early game jungler. Gragas can look to set up dives, but typically you see things like the Elise or the Lee Sin or maybe even a Jarvan that can really impact the early game much more substantially, I would say, and can win those early 2 versus 2s. So I'm a little surprised. But in any case, what they have right now is strong AD carry. They can continue to ban out AD carries if they want to. They could take away some of the safe options, but because they see a Nautilus, they're probably not thinking that Misfits will go towards the Ezreal. Varus is a possibility that they have to respect. I wonder if they may even consider something like a Tristana. Pretty safe, also has a lot of mobility, and also a lane that you could look to play through if you wanted to. But we'll have to see what direction the rest of the bans go.
The only other option I'm thinking of is maybe a Syndra down in that AD carry role. Hasn't been banned out yet. Haven't seen it a huge amount in the last in the last game. As in, it wasn't played in game 1, but it is still...
I mean, it was banned last game, but you're right in that I feel like Syndra's an interesting priority champion that's usually perma-banned. She hasn't received any nerfs recently, and so many teams still respect how strong she is as a champion, mainly because of her flexibility. And when you were talking about it, now we see the ban come through. Could have been used as the last pick, but it is surprising to see it move this far into the draft. Now Vitality will have their... Oh, please don't do Brawl. I mean, like, Braum is a champion. I mean, like, it's fine. But I'm just like, I mean, this clearly suggests that they're not looking to play through bot lane, which is fine. I think that if you draft a Renekton, you don't want to play through bot lane. I just think that your engage is now pretty weak. Which is going to hurt you because now you're pretty much relying on Skeens to act as your engage, which is going to be difficult against the current front line that Misfits have drafted for themselves. They're kind of hovering between the Ezreal and the Sivir. It looks like that they will lock it in, so my presumption earlier where they assumed because the Nautilus was already locked in that they wouldn't go for the Ezreal is clearly incorrect. They still feel like it can be a strong pick here. It's also very safe. It gives Denick the option to roam around the map. And are they going to go for a blind... If they go for Blind Azir, you would imagine that Selfie would then go for a Corki. Kind of goes against the goals of their composition, so it would surprise me a little bit. The only other alternative here is that Misfits have drafted Nautilus... No, okay, never mind. It's Blind
Azir. Blind Azir. We'll discuss whether Misfits have hit the goal we set out before the game of having a strong top side and kind of abandoning bot side. I think whenever you have an Ezreal, you kind of lean towards that anyway, because he can just farm by himself, as you said.
I think Misfits just want to go for more of the scaling game. They have a lot of safe laners right now. They want to play your typical front to back with a lot of poke. It's a very conventional, solid, standard comp where you can't really go wrong. You can see they have loads of engage options with both Sejuani and Nautilus. The carries of Azir and Ezreal have a solid front line to be able to play behind. You also have flanking options with the form of the Set, who's also very good at soaking up a lot of damage. It's very difficult for Vitality to successfully dive onto the backline, and when you think about Gragas and Renekton, every time they try to dash in, what happens? Azir's ultimate comes out, or he dashes away, or Ezreal dashes away, and you then have to deal with all the CC that's coming up from the rest of the team from Misfits. So I feel like unless Vitality gets a really strong early game by snowballing through top, this game is just going to get harder and harder for them to play. And the Victor, I think, is, while of safe mid lane typically, doesn't really fit the goals of the comp, where I don't think it's going to guarantee you mid lane prio to enable you to roam. If they'd gone for something like a Zoe, I think it would have made more sense, because then it's easier to push in mid and then move your prio up towards top side. But with a Victor, I think it's going to be harder for them. So I think Vitality have tried to draft an early game comp that I think doesn't have the easiest snowballing options, and if they fail to snowball, the game is going to be very difficult for them to play.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there, Vedios. I think we've said many times Vitality have to play through top and have to get it snowballing, and it hasn't always worked out for them.
I feel like it's kind of like a running theme that we've had with Vitality of this split.
I'll record you this time, and then we can play it back for the game tomorrow if it happens. I do want to just comment on the fact that Selfie has played a bunch of Victor games. It's one of his top 5 most played, although it's only at 10 games across his career. Has a good win rate on it. He's at like 70% win rate, so it's possible that this is a semi-pocket pick for him, and we haven't seen him.
Just a comfort pick, you know.
Yeah, it's a comfort pick.
They're not playing for much, and they just want to try and play something that they feel good on. It makes sense. I just don't think it synergizes super well with the comp.
Misfits have a lot to fight for here. They're looking for that 4th place spot. Really need to win out to get it. Mad Lions are a win ahead of them right now and have more wins in the second half of the season. So if they're tied at the end of the season, the Mad Lions would get 4th. And we talk about 4th a lot. I just want to reiterate, it's because you get double elimination. Yes, you probably face Fnatic or G2 in the first of your best of 5s, but you get another shot. You get another chance. If you lose, if you get 5th place and then lose to either, whoever places 6th, probably Rogue right now, I have to say, then you're out. You're out. You only get one chance at that, right? So having extra shots, getting extra best of 5s is always important, and both Misfits and Mad Lions will be looking very hungrily at that spot.
I think our playoffs is pretty ruthless, personally. Like, it rewards the top 4. And if you're 5th, 6th, then you two have to decide in a best of 5 who actually gets to move on. There's only one opportunity when everyone else gets a double elim, And then not only that, if you're 5th, 6th, in order to win the split, you have to beat everyone, literally every team, in order to be able to win. So it is tough to be able to create any upsets or actually win split if you're in that 5th, 6th slot. And I think it's had way higher stakes than it ever really has in EU playoff history. So I'm really excited for it, but it also just adds so much weight and stakes for so many of these teams where they can't afford not to be 4th, because losing a single best of 5, you can learn so much from that, and getting another opportunity to play again can then give you that momentum that you need to improve and then make a good run in playoffs.
It reminds me a lot of the LCK Gauntlet style, right? You see teams trying to go from round 1 to the final round of the Gauntlet in terms of, like, if you're 5th and 6th, you have to win every single game to get through there. Obviously, being in 1st and 2nd helps you out a bunch early on, and actually even 3rd place has its own advantage because you get seeded into the 2nd of the losers' best of 5s instead of having to play the winner of the 5th, 6th place. You play the winner of the 5th and the lower seed of the losers, assuming 3rd and 4th lose. It gets quite complicated.
Thank you for your expert breakdown, man. Okay,
if I'd had a graph, that would have made a lot more sense. But
I mean, to be honest, in the end, everyone gets sacrificed to Cthulhu anyway, right?
Yeah, so that's true. Everyone gets sacrificed.
So here we go. Look, Skeens is taking a path. He's gone Gromp blue into red. He's looking for top, but a well-placed ward will spot him out. But of course, with the sweeper, Skeens is going to recognize that, and Dan's going to play on the defense. So Misfits knew what they were planning. They warded accordingly. They played defensively, and Skeens was not able to find that early kill. So a wave is going to continue to stack up. And you'll notice in the mid lane, Selfie gone for an early push, will look for an early reset. He's probably not going to have enough gold to get the first upgrade. Yeah, he's just going to go for a very quick Dark Seal into Fairy Charm. So he just wants to get a bit of early AP and some mana regeneration, which is perfectly fine. But he's going to want to try and get that first upgrade of his Hex Core as quickly as he can, because that's where your primary wave clear comes from. The first upgrade is relatively expensive. It's around the same cost as a Lost Chapter. And you'll notice that Feven is now going to go back to base. So he's going to have a slight XP advantage. And of course he has TP that he can choose to use if he wants to. Puts a little bit more pressure on Selfie, and it'll allow him to keep that CS advantage over his lane opponent. But he doesn't need to force it if he doesn't want to.
No, Febby will be able to go back and get himself some boots and an amplifying tone. Now Razork's actually snuck around the vision here, getting into the Rift Herald and then dodging out the zombie ward by using his Arctic Assault. They'll be waiting for that cooldown to come back up, and then they can look for the fight. Cabochard steps forwards, use the Cold Meek. And here we go. Razork and Dan on their way. Cabochard trying to get away. Has the Slice and Dice still, I believe, and he'll escape underneath his tower.
Yeah, well played there by Cabochard. Good sidestep from the W of the Sejuani, and was also able to hold on to his Slice and Dice at just the right time to be able to create some good distance. So he's able to survive a well-placed gank from Razork, but it seems like we're seeing Misfits return to the style that they found so much success with in the past, primarily playing through the top side of the map. They're utilizing the pressure that Feven is able to consistently get, and then they're also looking to play around Vision on top side to be able to relieve some pressure for Dan, allow him to go back to base, but also threaten Cabochard while they just keep some good vision coverage around bot side. But when we look at the river, we can see that the majority of it is controlled by Vitality. They have good vision coverage, they've been able to maintain control over the bot side Scuttle Crab, and a good investment of early control wards has given them a little bit of extra control.
Control wards giving extra control there, Vedius.
Yes, exactly. That's why they're called
in the
control
name.
wards.
It's written on the tin. Does exactly what it says. Selfie here, trading up against Febby in the mid lane. It's as you said, a comfort pick, a safe pick. Victor can use that Siphon power to get a shield, so...
The most obnoxious thing about playing against Victor is his E is incredibly difficult to dodge, because it's like an instant laser, and usually once it's upgraded you can avoid the second part of it quite easily because of the delay, but the amount of damage that it does is really obnoxious and it stacks very quickly, which is why I'm quite a fan of going for this early Fairy Charm especially, because it can be quite a high mana cost, but by getting that extra bit of mana regeneration, and also he's going into the sorcery tree as well, he's going to have a lot of poke, a lot of wave clear, and he's also going to have a decent amount of mana, which means that he can just keep harassing Featherven in this 1 versus 1. So every time Featherven tries to go up and push the wave, he's going to get hit by that death ray, making the trades very obnoxious for him.
And here's level 6, has the showstopper to avoid this gank, but Skeens is on his way, the flash away. No flash follow from Skeens.
Good flash there from Dan, but also good pressure coming out from Vitality. I like the fact that they're continuing to invest in topside. We talked about how they kind of needed to. If they don't get this Renekton ahead and start snowballing, then this game's going to be very difficult for them. Meanwhile, Steelback loses a lot of HP in the 2 versus 2 there, and you can see Bvoy and Denik actually coming out ahead for the time being. They've built up a decent CS advantage, but Comp gets hooked.
There's no ignite, but Comp is very low, forced underneath the turret, and has to use the heal, so... I think if Denik had the ignite, they would have killed him, but good trading from Bvoy and Denik.
I mean, that's the key takeaway here. We started this game by saying Bvoy and Denik had a very poor week last week, consistently losing their 2 versus 2. Now to come in, have a CS advantage, and then just straight up bully Comp out of the lane, that's the sort of performance that you want to be seeing from this bot lane, especially with playoffs only a week away. So props to Bvoy and Denik. They seem a lot more confident, and definitely in a much more favourable position than what we saw from them last week.
Oh, definitely, and yeah, I think that note that playoffs only a week away is important as well, because originally, obviously, before everything happened, we had to move to online. We had a 2-week break before playoffs would start. You know, time for teams to reset, time for teams to evaluate how they want to play and to shore up some of these weaknesses. So Misfits, perhaps in that time, would have planned to, well, how do we play around our bot lane if they're struggling? Here, having the bot lane doing well and playing well is a very good sign.
Sure. We saw a bit of a trade there from Kawashard.
We did, buddy.
He's going to dash out again. The Infernal Drake is alive. I'm looking at the map state right now. Neither teleport available for either top lane, no TPs available on Featherven or Bvoy either. Comp has just reset, of course, because he was forced to base. But Braum is actually looking to roam. So right now it looks like Vitality is considering trading for a Rift Herald, or Misfits looking for a play in mid.
I've seen them make this play before against G2, but they were unable to find the connection and stuff. He uses the cleanse, the QSS, cleanse straight away. Kings is coming up towards the top side. Showstopper used. Dandan's going to get locked up, but knocked away with the barrel, and that's a pretty easy escape for the Misfits top laner.
Great utilization of the ultimate there from Dandan to create space between him and the diving Vitality. They're able to very quickly get away, and now they're threatening this Rift Herald. Will Misfits contest, or will they trade it? Right now, their eyes are set on contesting this, but Dandan, he doesn't have any HP, he doesn't have his ult, but Featherven and Denik are here to assist.
Yeah, Skeens doesn't have ult either, nor does Kawashard, so getting the Rift Herald would be hard for Vitality. They can try and pressure Dandan underneath the turret. Razor on his way across. Of course, Vitality don't know exactly where the Misfits jungler is. There's the Facebreaker into Haymaker from Dandan as he just forces the wave out. And it should be pretty easy now for Dandan to escape. He's just trying to get in behind here.
I think he's just trying to get some vision for the time being. It looks like both junglers know where the other one is. We now see Steelback heading up towards top lane. They're looking for it.
Looking for the Winter's Bite, doesn't land it. Guardian proc straight away. Is Steelback tanking up the turret, and he's pulled back. Oh, no. That was the most Vitality thing I've seen.
Oh, yeah. I actually thought that he was going to take another tower shot there. I'm surprised
so
he actually got out of tower range.
Got away.
Yeah, just barely.
It was still a very, very Vitality dive.
Well, I mean, Steelback misses initial. No way with this hit. No.
Observers are hard baiting us with that one.
Yeah, they baited me before with that. So now we see the dive set up onto Kawashard.
Kawa still has flash though, so even with the Facebreaker coming out, he should be able to survive. He's stayed around for a long time, get it stunned up underneath the turret. But here comes the counterfight as Razok flashes away, and Cabo goes down.
So, Medic. At the beginning of this game, we highlighted that Vitality's win condition was to try and get the Renekton ahead.
Yeah.
Now that he's behind, This is not looking good. This is not looking good at all.
I have one thing that might make you a little bit happier, Betty.
Tell me.
Did you know owls can't actually turn their heads all the way around? A lot of people think they can go 360 degrees, but it's actually about more like 270 degrees of total
I did in fact know that, yes. Yes. Alright, because you're so hungry for it. Did you know, right, that the elf owl is the smallest owl in the world at only, I think it's 5 inches tall.
Wow, 5 inches? Yeah. That's tiny.
And what's fascinating about the elf owl is that it's actually like much louder than it looks, and it uses its loud voice as a means to attract mates.
Have you adopted that style yourself?
just yelling at me. Hello! I really like you. I would like to take you out sometime.
I'm pretty sure I've met some elf owls in nightclubs from time to
time. Anyway, there you go. I'm not giving you any more owl facts.
That was a good owl fact.
Back down for the past. Anyway, right. So the Drake was just taken by Vitality. A large part of that was because Misfits was setting up control over the top side. They're now going to look to secure themselves the Riftchild, and Dan, with his level advantage, with a completed Sunfire Cape. This is pretty interesting. So, I don't know if you've noticed, but Set has been repeatedly nerfed over the last few patches. Pretty much since his release has been nerf. Ooh, one sec. Set has been... Selfie, rather, has been locked up.
He has, but he's doing a lot of damage with the Chaos Storm too, forcing him out.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that, but a really well-placed W meant that Febiven couldn't actually jump on top of him, because if he tried to do the Shurima Shuffle, he would have died, but the action isn't slowing down, Medic.
Kavashar trying to engage onto Dan, who pops a lot of damage back. Glacial Person comes out. Kavashar trying to heal up with the Cold Meek and will survive. But that Haymaker, that was pretty darn devastating.
So a lot of damage in mid lane, a lot of damage in top lane. No one actually ends up dying though. The Riftchild was secured by Razork, and because top lane has to reset, they can now use this to start threatening that top tower. It looks like they're just going to TP back into lane though. Dan going to have to run away. He doesn't have flash.
Ruthless Predator stun comes out. Skeens looking for the chase as well, but Dan just walks away, and just walks away.
He literally just walks away. Yeah, Misfits feeling very comfortable. So to go back to the point that I wanted to make, the early Sunfire, right? He's been nerfed a lot, and I think this has put pros off of first picking him because they don't feel like he's as strong as he was, obviously. But it's interesting to see this Sunfire Cape adaptation as well, because it's definitely much more of a tankier approach, and I think it makes sense into a champion like Renekton, who you intentionally don't want to snowball. By going for more of the defensive route, it helps a little bit with your wave clear, and it also naturally makes you harder to dive. And I also think that some of his abilities scale with HP as well. So I think that overall he benefits pretty massively from it, and I think that it adds a lot. Sure, his damage is going to get nerfed a little bit, but overall it's going to help his survivability get through a lane, which you know is the primary win condition of Vitality. So I like the adaptation, and I'm curious as to whether or not we will see it a lot more here in the LEC.
But I don't actually know how much it's going to nerf its damage, because I totally agree with you that like getting a Triforce or getting a Black Cleaver would, you think it would do more damage, but Immolate is really strong. And you have Facebreaker, and if you're standing in the middle of 4 people and you pop a Facebreaker and it hits on all 4 of them, they're standing next to you for all of that Immolate damage as well, the burst damage. So I wonder if it's kind of a Maokai situation where you actually just put out.
I haven't done the match, Medic. No,
nor have I. But that's why I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying we could see this set doing a lot of damage still, because as you said, his grit scales off his maximum health. So you're getting more tanky, and your healing scales off your maximum health because it's percentage missing health. So we could just see a very tanky, very high DPS set in this game.
For sure. Well,
and I love adaptations like this. I think they're really fun.
Well, I'm committed to the. I don't think it's going to increase his damage significantly, but I just think that it's because the role of Set is you just want to be in the face of the enemy anyway. I think that it makes you tanky, and I think that just fits his style as well. He may still go into Trinity Force second. He could still do that. He's sitting on a longsword right now, or he could just choose to build a Sterak's Gauge to go for more survivability because he has enough damage. Right? There's Ezreal and an Azir on his team, so he's in a perfectly fine spot to just act as a front line for his team to be able to play over him.
He's going to show stop a camera shot straight back into the waiting arms of Denik and Razor. That's a very good kill for Misfits. 2-0 on the board right now, 15 minutes in. They are 3,000 gold ahead, Vedius. They've just been incrementally chipping away at Vitality, and scaling comes faster when you are in a lead as well. So we're going to see this Azir and this Ezreal well and truly online pretty soon.
Yeah, you can see that B-Void already stacking up his Mana Munate. The Nash's Tooth has been completed for Featherven, so he's in a very comfortable position right now. The Hex Core is fully upgraded for Selfie, so you have to acknowledge that this Victor will be doing a lot of damage. And again, you highlighted this is a bit of a comfort pick for him. Flash comes through.
Selfie able to escape for the moment. Febby going in, though. He's going to land the Shurima Shuffle and try to get knocked back, but Featherven is going very low here. Selfie's going to take him out before he dies. And now Vitality might go on for the chase here, because Comp has found Denik, who went for the engage and gets taken out. 2 quick kills for Vitality, and they can turn their eyes towards the dragon here if they so desire.
And there's the power of that comfort pick coming in from Selfie. He played that extremely well. Very fast cleanse, followed by a very quick flash, forces Featherven to overcommit to the play, and that actually puts him in a very awkward position, allowing Selfie to survive for long enough to allow them to pick the kill onto Febby and Denik.
Very. So you know when you were talking about Dan's build?
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, wouldn't it be really funny if he went Blade of the Ruin King?
I mean, I have heard about that,
And
but I heard
Blade of the Ruin King, and I'm so happy.
I mean, so I heard Blade of the Ruin King was sometimes a first pick item for set, because because you know he has a problem with like being kited, right? So you activate it, and then it helps you stick onto your targets a little bit more. But it also is to give you a lot more laning power very early. So I'm surprised that we're seeing second. I wasn't expecting it second, but you know, it's a very cool adaptation. It definitely helps with your skirmishing. It helps with your ability to stick onto targets. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good item overall. But to go back to this replay, we're going to get to see Selfie here. Very quick cleanse and flash to be able to create distance between him. Here you see Featherven flashing, dashing in, and he's just sitting on top of the ultimate from Selfie, eating all of that damage, with Steelback providing a lot of utility on the back end. And then Denik kind of gets zoned away from his team because of a well-placed gravity field. So I feel like in the situation that Selfie was in, he did the best case that he could. Admittedly, he was greeding a little bit, going for those raptors without full information on where the enemy was. So he kind of put himself in that position, but he did a very good job considering the situation that he found himself in.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree with you there. We'll see if he can continue to impress on this Victor pick. Of course, without summoners, it's very hard to get away from a Sejuani, a Set, and an Azir. We've seen Febby and Razork team up very well on the Azir-Sejuani combo in the past. Right now, Selfie will be matching up into Febby in this bottom lane. Misfits play up against G2 tomorrow in their final game of the split, and they'll definitely be hoping for a win here. I mean, they're in a good position here, but because trying to rely on a win versus G2 in your final game to make it to 4th spot is a little bit tricky.
Yeah, very challenging.
But you never know what G2 have concocted, because it's the final week, and if they win today, they're guaranteed first. So maybe we'll see like Yuumi top, or Maokai support.
Well, you never really know with that team. The scary part is they're probably not trolling either.
Nope.
You never really know. But in any case, Misfits still have to get through Vitality. They're in a commanding position right now. I think they have a pretty big scaling advantage. The biggest things that we're looking at are Selfie, in terms of the now insurance that Vitality have. He can do a lot of damage. He obviously plays the champion very well, and if Comp can land a good bullet time, then maybe. But I think Vitality's ability to engage is going to be very difficult. I don't really know how they're going to successfully threaten this backline of Azir and Ezreal, especially when you have such a solid frontline in the form of Set, Sejuani, and Nautilus as well. So yeah, I think this game is going to be very difficult for Vitality to play through, and especially given that B-Boy has now completed the Trinity Force. Yeah, Misfits is very strong right now. Very, very, very strong.
That was 4 berries. What is the level up from that point?
I mean, there isn't one. That's what I'm saying.
So this is the strongest they can
be.
be.
Very strong. Okay. Well, no, not in the point of the game, but like their comp is only going to get stronger from this point.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I see that.
They're very, very strong.
Well, we'll see if they can continue that strength in the rest of the game, because of course we've seen them make a couple of mistakes recently.
More mana now done.
Yes.
I mean, this is...
I mean, we haven't talked about AD carries at all this entire game. And
yeah, because he's just been farming bot lane. Which is the ideal situation for B-Voy, if we're being honest. Like, he's played the lane pretty well, and he held a pretty good advantage. Of course, Comp has gone a bit more gold into his back pocket, but either way, yeah, this is not a good situation for Vitality to be in, is the TLDR, Minik.
Yep,
If I hadn't made that clear.
They're about to lose their mid lane turret as well to this Rift Tower charge. Gold gets put across into Misfits' pockets, and now we'll see Selfie looking to come around the side, but Denning bends a hook around the corner. B-Boy chunked out by Schemes, looking for the explosive cast. Will knock B-Boy away as he uses his dash, but that's a flash down as well as Dan's getting chased out. Here comes the Predator. Schemes on the chase. Steelback stepping forward as well, but the Showstopper's going to knock him back. And Dan will escape.
So, it looked like there that Misfits was looking for a pick. They couldn't quite get the collapse onto Selfie. He wasn't forced to use any summoner spells either. I didn't quite catch how B-Boy used his flash.
He got caught out by Schemes.
Oh, okay.
He flashed to try and get away, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Because we could also see Dan in the mid lane, so you imagine that they were then trying to follow that up as well. So with the Mountain Drake spawning in about 50 seconds, that's obviously going to be the next primary objective that both these teams look to control. They want to... I wonder... I mean, Vitality's kind of forced to fight over it. The problem that they have is that Comp doesn't have his second item finished yet. He's pretty far behind the Ezreal, who's pretty much got the core itemization done, already halfway finished to completing Blade of the Ruin King as well. And with Blade of the Ruin King now done for Dan, with Cabochard still on the way, I think it would be very difficult for Vitality to win a team fight at this point, but it's not going to get any easier as the game goes on. So they might just go for this as the Hail Mary play to be like, well, this is like our best time of the worst times that are only surely to come.
Right, Dan with the Blade of the Ruin King. If you use your Knuckle down properly, you get 4 auto attacks out of that. It's 12% of current HP for each auto attack, plus the extra damage you're doing as well. So that's if Dan can sit on a squishy for a while, he's getting him down to about half 8 health pretty darn easily. Misfits going to go for the Mountain Dragon. As you said, it might be the only opportunity for Vitality to fight, but they're refusing to. And it gives me a moment to give you another owl fact, Vedia.
Stop!
Did you know elf owls, they actually live inside cacti? Yes. There are other cool places that owls live. Example, the long-legged burrowing owl lives in nests underground from tunnels that are being excavated by other animals.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Do you know what else is fascinating?
What?
Butterflies taste through their feet.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool. All butterflies or specific ones?
But imagine if you could taste through your feet.
I would not be happy.
At all, yeah.
No, my feet sweat a lot, Vedia. I can give you some cool medical facts if you want.
No, I'm good. Let's talk about the Baron setup, okay? Because it's coming through from Misfits.
Yeah, Misfits have very good Baron setup right now.
Yeah, they do, exactly. They've got the deep vision, they played through top, they pushed in mid, they now just need to push in another wave, and they also need to clear out that ward that is also in the Baron, because right now they're using Baron as bait to set up a trap, but they don't realize that Vitality have full information that the Baron is not being started, so there's no reason for them to ever face check.
And Misfits going to work it out?
Just need to check the Baron pits.
Go on, Febby. Oh, yes.
Nope.
I don't know if he saw that.
I think he saw that. I feel like he saw it, and he's just
I'm not sure. There were no
I don't need to clear it right now.
Well, maybe it's maybe he's thinking it's greedy for me to go to this by myself because my team's just reset. So, but they could have just not seen it as well.
Yeah. Well, in any case, they're not going to do the Baron just yet. They're going to take their time, which is fine. I think that
as we've said, right, they scale well. Waiting for item and a half doesn't really matter.
They're pretty much at a point where, like, just because Ezreal has 3 items, I'm like, okay, Ezreal is too strong now. You can just do whatever you want if you're Misfits. There you go. The ward's gone now. They now have full control. So, what I want to see Fairhaven do, go back to base, spend his gold, maybe upgrade his boots. You should think about that. There we go. And then I want to see them push in mid. They can consider pushing in top, but they're going to have information that Victor will be there, so they can instead look for a collapse, which I think makes more sense and is an easier play for them.
Oh, Razork. Apparently Schemes is just too tanky. He misses everything as he jumps across the wall. Still gets the permafrost down. Two-shot barrage will come out as well, but Razork's going to get stunned up with the concussive blows and knocked up, and you can't do the Baron if your jungle is dead. That was very greedy from Misfits.
But this was the play that I wanted to see them make, right? I think making the collapse was the easier play for them, because if they get a numbers advantage, then Baron is harder for Vitality to contest. The thing that Razork wasn't expecting was for Skeens and Steelback to be in the area. And it was a really well-placed gravity field from Selfie that stopped Misfits from successfully being able to support Razork, which meant that he was basically up a creek without a paddle, right? And that made it very easily for Vitality to punish him and delay Misfits from successfully setting up this Baron. So I think the idea was good for Misfits, but they were not expecting this numbers difference. So again, here,
I think he knows Skeens is here. He knows Skeens is here. He's playing for Skeens.
Oh yeah, actually you're right, because he has full information on Skeens. Yeah. So like that ult was clearly aimed at going for Skeens, and then he just messes it up. I gave him far too much credit.
I mean, if he gets Skeens, they kill him, right? 100%.
Yeah, you're right.
It was a greedy play, I think, to try and hard force onto Skeens.
I think they just mis-executed. Yeah. I don't know if I would say.
Yeah, you're right.
Because
probably wasn't greedy.
I mean, you said it right. If Razork lands the ultimate, then he just instantly dies.
Well,
we're now going to see a fight.
For another pick. Skeens has the flank. Not going to jump in as the blast cone is used by Misfits, and you can see not too much damage on Razork there. Very tanky on this Sejuani.
Skeens now has a level advantage though, which is pretty interesting. He's also got a fair amount of AP, so his damage is definitely not underwhelming. And Selfie's hit level 15, now they're looking for Selfie.
Selfie's going to use the cleanse. Waited on it for a second there, was wondering if he could get out without it, but better safe than sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Especially...
You'll notice that...
Yeah, sorry?
You'll notice that he is going for Merc Treads as well, which means that that's probably why he was thinking, okay, obviously I'm not going to be stunned for the full duration, maybe with my Merc Treads I'll be able to get out a little bit earlier, but unfortunately for him, he was like, no, it's too dangerous, Norlis is right there, I've got to get out. So he is forced to use that cleanse. Now Vitality actually grouping up. It's a little too dangerous then to threaten this tower, even with Razork's ultimate gone. They can't really contest the sheer range that Febiven and B-Boy have. Looks like B-Boy is going to do a quick reset to spend some of his gold. He has the TP, so he can come back in time for the Drake that is spawning, and there it is. He's now going to grab himself the BF sword. So again, Misfits looking to fight right now. They must feel very strong.
And Cabochard had to catch the wave in the bottom lane, so he's not going to be here for a while. Could look for a flank if he wants to get in. Sundus put down by Febiven will be cleared out pretty quickly by Vitality, but that means Misfits have the positioning on the Dragon. Cabochard has a flank down towards the bottom side. Will Vitality fight this? They could, but already the Dragon has gone to Misfits. And now Steelback stepping forward, Cabochard going the long way round. He's gone for a scenic tour, could take the blast cone if he gets in, but Steelback's already very low. He's got the stopwatch, B-Boy jumped on, great play from Febiven to keep Cabochard away. Dan stunned up, but he's going to lock Comp against the wall, and in the end, Dan will fall. Vitality still looking for a fight in a 4v5 situation. Now they haven't got the ult on Febiven. He has got his flash if he wants to get away. Selfie trying to trade back, but maybe Vitality just rush straight towards the Baron.
I mean,
they could.
They can. They saw B-Boy use his TP. They know that he's low on HP because Cabochard forced him out of the fight, and Cabochard can look to tank this one up.
They're not going to do it.
All right, they're not going to take the gamble. I mean, it's not. You can understand why they do it, right? Featherman is still alive. B-Boy is still alive. He has enough lifesteal with the Blade of the Ruin King to get healthy enough. But this fight for Misfits was overall pretty messy. Look at what they commit onto. The Braum is who takes the vast majority of the crowd control, and then Cabochard freely actually gets onto the Ezreal. Like a really good flank from Cabo just forces B-Boy back. He does flash a little preemptively, not expecting that ultimate to come out from Featherman, but this basically leaves Dan on the front line, and it's a situation of Dan versus Vitality and Cabochard versus Misfits. And Cabochard gets pushed to safety, meanwhile Dan just kind of gets left out to dry. So the execution of that fight is not the way in which Misfits wanted it to go, but huge props for Cabochard to be able to find that flank, to be able to actually get on to B-Boy and Featherman, because even when he got onto them, even when he found pretty much the perfect flank, you could see how challenging it was for him to really stick onto those targets and actually look for a kill. So in order for Vitality to find another perfect flank like that is obviously going to be hard in and of itself.
This trade, I've started to see Cabochard winning out in these bottom lane trades, so we've been praising him for his play in that last team fight, but in the pure 1v1 as well, Cabochard seems to be bullying Dan just that little bit. It's not enough just to like outright win the lane, and Cabo actually... Oh, those are some spider senses, because he's got no wards. He has no vision of Razork coming around there at all, and he actually might be collapsed on. He has got the flash, he's got the teleport, but the rest of Misfits are on their way. Who's finding who? Cabochard spots out Zenek, but here comes Razork. Cabba's going to slice and dice his way away, but the Dreadline's already connected. King's coming in with the Predator as well. Cabbo just burns the ult for nothing.
Cabochard, yeah, was forced to ulti there. Vitality, though, still have a window to be able to secure themselves the Scuttle Crab. They're going to look to push in top lane as well. Trying to see if there's a wave in the mid lane. No, because Vitality had actually already pushed that one in, which means that while Misfits were pushing, there was nothing for them to push for. So the rest of Vitality can reset, actually catch this wave. Misfits are not really going to get anything off the back of this, so overall, beneficial play here for Vitality.
I mean, I remember we were like, we started making our jokes and talking about facts and stuff, and that's usually what we do when we're like, okay, Misfits have this in the bag, they're 3,000 gold ahead, they should be able to take this away from Vitality. But Vitality have not given them anything for the last age, right? Like, the 3 kills came very early in this game.
It's a lot of mistakes that we're now seeing from Misfits again.
Misfits are making mistakes, but Vitality are doing a good job at not making mistakes to give Misfits a way into the game.
I mean, it's true. I mean, at this point, you're thinking, okay, Misfits should just win every fight. They should be able to control Cabochard on a side lane, so it's not like he can just split push to victory, and Victor's not a split pusher, right? So Vitality is going to be forced to team fight, and their team fight comp should just be worse on paper, because it's just that much harder to execute. Now, that's not to say that it's impossible for them to win a fight, but it's really difficult. So expectations should be that Misfits has this game in the bag. But what we've seen is Razor tried to force a pick in top lane, ends up getting killed. Misfits tried to force a fight around the Drake. Cabochard then found a really good flank, and Misfits then lost that fight, but they still got the Drake. So now Misfits, they're still feeling comfortable, because they still have the 4th Drake win condition, they know that Baron is alive, and they have a very fast Baron taking team, and the responsibility still falls on Vitality. But the important thing to acknowledge is that Selfie does have an XP advantage over Featherman. He's going to hit level 18 first. He has his Void Staff completed and is already working towards his death cap. GA is now done for Cabochard, and Cond is actually a level ahead of B-Boy.
Yeah.
He now has his 3 items. So that huge item discrepancy that was existing between the 2 AD carries has now gone. So even though Misfits' comp is easier to execute, Vitality are not weak. And those fights that should have been guaranteed for Misfits earlier are not as safe as they were. They're not as safe anymore.
Not at all. Misfits going to have to work for this one, of course. They were really looking for a win here. They're still fighting for the 4th spot in playoffs. Mad Lions 1 win ahead of them, but if Misfits lose here, they were reliant on Rogue winning, Mad losing both their games, and Misfits winning tomorrow to make it a 3-way tie. And if the 3-way tie comes out, I'll look at the record in a second. Misfits already started up the Baron here. Skins could look for the steal, but he goes in a little bit too late. Misfits have got it. And now Skins is on the wrong side of this. Going to have to flash away. Crucial Barrage won't connect. Habbo is doing the dragon by himself to stop Misfits trying to get the Mountain Soul, but it might be a little bit too slow because it looks like Misfits are trying to react. Comp is here to join the party. That Mountain will go down, and Misfits won't be able to find anything more out of it. But yeah, this is a great Baron take there from Misfits.
Yeah, good rush. We talked about how they do have a fast Baron taking team, and they were able to demonstrate it there. Vitality could not get close enough to be able to react, and I like that Misfits finally pulled the trigger and forced that Baron play, because it was needed. I think they could have done it a little bit earlier, but regardless, they now have it. Now they can look to set up the siege. Now, this isn't easy, because there's a lot of wave clear sitting on the back of Victor, but Misfits can look to play through multiple lanes, and I think that they have good poke, that their siege should be pretty strong. One of the great things about Azir when it comes to sieging is you have a pretty safe wall behind you. It's difficult to flank an Azir because of his passive. The fact that he can set up that turret and prevent teams from being able to find that Renekton dive onto the backline is very valuable, and it's going to make it a lot safer and easier for Misfits to successfully try and break into the base of Vitality.
Well, we'll see how Vitality are able to withstand the pressure of this Baron. I have just done some number crunching myself, Fedius, and it looks to me, if Misfits do not win this game, they cannot get 4th spot. It looks to be impossible because of the rogue loss, and because Mad Lions have a win advantage. Anytime Misfits are tied with Mad, even if it's in a 3-way tie, Misfits actually lose out because they have a 0-2 head-to-head versus Rogue. So Misfits need this win if they're going to keep it up in that battle for 4th. And they are still in, they're still in a good position to take it. Like, as much as Vitality have delayed them, you have a 4-item Ezreal on his way to a 5th. You've got a Rabadon's Death Cap finished on Febby. You have the Baron complete now as well. The Baron on Misfits. So they are able to take a few advantages here, but they've got to keep this pressure up to stop Vitality from holding on to the game. Gotta do it.
Misfits finally secure themselves a tower. Looking at, there's not a huge amount of time left on the Baron, which means this game is probably going to keep on going. Let's see if they can finally break into the base. Again, it's difficult. You can see Razor actually very low on HP because of the amount of poke that's coming out from Victor. Again, that laser is instant, so it's very difficult to dodge or react to. You're kind of hoping that he misses, or you're able to successfully sidestep it. And if you can't, you take a huge amount of damage, especially this lane into the game. And he's doing a great job of just holding the line for now. Vitality, all 3 lanes, doing what they can.
Yeah. Well, they've synced up the push here as well, which makes it very hard for Vitality to defend. You can see the MF ult used there. Sorry, bullet time is the name.
Bullet time, right?
Took me a while. Yeah, took me a while to get there for some reason. I find like sitting down at home, my brain just works that little bit slower when I'm trying to get towards champion names. Nothing to do with.
Good thing you were never a doctor sitting down.
I just Google it. No, we always stood up. That was the important thing. Doctor's work is always done stood up. But with the Baron falling off, Misfits will retreat. They weren't able to take any of the inhibitor towers, so Vitality still hold on to this game. Next up, Mountain Drake in 2 minutes' time. It's soul point for Misfits, not for Vitality, but we did see Vitality get the last one, of course, when they traded it for the Baron. Tension.
So it's one of those. Well, I mean, yeah, no, I'm letting a silence sit for a bit, you know, just allowing people to soak in the game because. The kills are 3 to 4. It's like a good
bath. It's like a good bath.
Yeah, you know,
soaking it.
Like, I mean, this game. I mean, I thought it was done, Medic. I'm being honest.
I mean, we talked about Alphax for a while. I think.
Yeah, right. My point is that, like, again, on paper, that's what you expected. Unsurprising mistakes. Unsurprising? That's not fair. I meant surprising mistakes from Misfits. Surprising mistakes. Because normally, once they have a good lead, they're actually pretty good at transitioning, especially into the mid to late game, especially with the comp that they have. We know that Febiven is a very solid Sejuani player. And I think a lot of it has got to come down to how Selfie has been playing.
Yeah.
I think that his Victor has been very good this game. His positioning of the gravity fields, the poke that he's landed with his E, I think has all been actually very impactful and has made this game a lot harder than Misfits anticipated. Because a lot of plays that normally would have worked, I think haven't as a result of what Selfie has been able to do. So props to him. You know, I was a little skeptical about the Victor pick, but you know, sometimes when in doubt, just go for comfort and yet to be decided if it can be enough to win the game for Vitality, but I think Selfie's definitely redeeming himself after what was a rough week 8.
Well, he had a rough week 7 as well. I mean, he's gone collectively 8, 24, and 5 across the 4 games that he's played on the LEC stage. So
that's a flank.
He's got a flanking ward. Cabashard coming in, looking for the stun here. Dominus popped by Cabashard, trying to get away, but the slice and dice is still there. Febby caught unawares. The Ruthless Predator comes out, and Febiven is dead. Teleport coming in behind them here. His Vitality might be collapsed on by Misfits. Stand down on his way. Has Razor coming in as well, but Skeens is on his way. Selfie uses the cleanse to get away. Denick fighting off towards Skeens on the top side, but it's a 5v4, and now Vitality can re-engage. Dan caught out by Cabashard and Selfie. The Haymaker comes out, but doesn't hit anyone. B-Boy by himself off towards the top side. He's been exhausted and isolated from the team. He's going to have to do something magical to get out of this. The bullet time's not quite going to connect, and Steelback lands the Glacial Fissure, but the shutdown comes out, and that's Comp dead. The Misfit MF is dead, and the B-Boy is still doing stuff. Selfie trying to fight underneath the turret will kill Denick, but B-Boy by himself. Where was this man last week? Last week, he single-handedly failed for Misfits, but this week, that was an incredible performance.
Yeah, this is a weird game, Medic. I mean, this was a great flank from Cabashard. The fact that they were able to find Febiven pushing isolated in a bot lane made it look like this was done and dusted, you know? Vitality could have converted that into another Drake, into a Baron, and now they're looking to two-man it. But look, Cabashard and Selfie are nearby.
He doesn't get there in time. This is gone. That's Mountain Soul.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Props to B-Boy. Coming up clutch in the late game, he was able to make the difference. I thought he was dead. Medic. And again, this is just Febiven. He wants to push so he can then group with his team because they have good vision coverage over the bot side of them. he thinks this play is safe. He is not expecting a deep TP flank to come in from Cabochard. And they commit to that play, they make it work. And they spend so much time chasing Selfie. Look at how mobile this Victor can be. The amount of bonus movement speed he gets from his Q, the zone control that his W provides, makes it super difficult for especially a champion like Set to actually close the gap. Meanwhile, B-Boy, he's left abandoned. He's just in the 1v3 in the backline. He's running away, landing whatever poke that he can, but the Brawn Shield, the MF ultimate, and it's this ulti right here, where because he cancels through the knock-up animation, means that he's still able to dish damage out, and that forces them to retreat. Meanwhile, back over on this side of the fight, Vitality's trying to dive, Razork and Dandan are just barely able to get away, and while Denick does lose his life, Vitality cannot continue the chase, and Featherman is then back alive. So this allows Misfits to secure another objective. They have, of course, now got themselves the Soul, and now the Baron is being started.
We'll see, this is a very quick Baron take. Vitality going to try and get in there. The control ward goes in the pit. Skeen's getting forced away by Denick, but he does have the body slam. He does have the smite. They're going for Denick instead as Misfits try and re-engage. Crucial Barrage rattles in as Skeens goes down to half HP. Selfie low as well. And already one's down as Denick falls. Steelback getting chased out by B-Boy though, and he's got another kill for himself. The showstopper used off towards the top side as Comp is caught out, but he's got the GA. Selfie going to get in there as well with the gravity well, with the field up as Dandan falls. It's a double for B-Boy. Comp trying to trade against his enemy AD carry, but he is losing that one. And now Vitality walk away wounded. The question is, can Misfits do this Baron? You do have an Azir and an Ezreal, and it should be pretty easy take for them.
They also have the Mountain Drake. That extra bit of shielding is going to make the difference, and you're right, they're just going to melt through this with no Smite Steal available on the side of Vitality. This will be an objective secure for Misfits, but that was not an easy or a clean objective take. Selfie once again dishing out some serious damage to make these fights that much closer, but at the end of the day, B-Boy isn't dying. Featherman is not dying either, and that means that the range and the poke that they're consistently able to dish out allows them to just chase Vitality down. Now with the Baron, they obviously have a very healthy gold advantage, but at this point in the game, Medic, that doesn't really matter. Selfie is full build, you can see that B-Boy is full build, Comp very close to completing his itemization as well. Like, we're fully in the late game right now, and you can see these team fights are hard for Vitality to be able to execute, but the Victor is single-handedly keeping Vitality in this game, and some very good flank and dives from Cabochard. And it's probably unfair of me to say single-handedly, because like he has consistently been able to act as a threat when it should be so much harder for Renekton in these fights.
But the issue is, and Vedius, you say this every week, like, Ezreal scales depending on how easily the enemy team can kill him. And right now, it seems like no one can kill B-Boy. Like he is incredibly strong. He doesn't even have boots anymore. He just has 6 items. A Black Cleaver, a Maw of Malmortius, a Blade of the Ruined King, a Bloodthirster, a Trinity Force, and that Mura Mana fully stacked up, right? Like, even if you get on top of him, he's then going to Blade of the Ruined King you, and then Lifesteal off you, and then jump away, and then flash, and it's like, I just don't see how Vitality are able to lock him down. And maybe if B-Boy was having a bad game, you could, but B-Boy is having a very good game as well.
Yeah, he certainly is.
And he has a Knight's Vow on him as well, just as a little extra bonus. Featherman, though, Featherman is not having a great game, and he's going to die to that Chaos Storm.
Wow. He just got one shot by Selfie. I mean, you kind of expected this late into the game, but
yeah, he's got 7 kills.
That is a critical mistake, my man. This is not looking good for Misfits. Like, so many mistakes like this keep happening, and they're allowing Vitality to stay in the game. Like, we've been praising Selfie, but he just cooked that chicken on a plate, just straight in front. You know, that chicken just walked into the oven, and he was just like, "What do you want to be fried? Do you want to be roasted? What do you want from me?" Like,
okay, I appreciate the effort, Vedius. But you can
okay, I get it. You can't fry your chicken in an oven. I get it. I know. Just laugh at the joke, Bennett. Just laugh at the joke and just walk away. Okay? Just walk away.
You ever you fry chicken all the time? Actually, you make okay sweet and sour chicken. That's one of your benefits. Anyway, Baron for Misfits at the moment is going to fall off in about 20 seconds. There's an Elder Dragon in a minute, Vedius. There is 4,000 gold between these two teams, but really the battle comes down to who is going to win. Is it Selfie or Bevo? Who's going to get the assassination on the enemy?
Right.
Who is going to win out of these two?
It is just Selfie versus B-Boy. And on paper, you would put your money on B-Boy, right? Given the nature of his champion. But Selfie has been doing... So, like, to put it into context, right? Vitality has 9 kills, okay? Yep. Selfie has been involved in all 9 of them. If you look at the kill participation across the board, right? That is not evenly distributed, right? no one else shares the same level of impact that Selfie has had. And I think that for Selfie, I mean, he made a tweet last week where he was talking about how, he's going to ignore the comments. He believes he deserves to be here. He feels that he is better than what he showcased last week. And I think, we talked about this being a comfort pick for him. I really think this goes to show what he is capable of and that he has that carry performance available to him. He just needs that opportunity to show it, and he's showing it right now. So the question is, can he convert this into a win for Vitality? Misfits now gearing up to siege the mid lane base. Selfie is in bot lane. The wave clear is gone, which means that
Vitality is just totally out of position here. They're looking for a flank now, but maybe the inhibitor won't fall. That would be a benefit for them. Cabochard's going to get spotted on a ward as he comes round. Razork on his way, you can see, as the Sun Disc falls down, they know Cabo is here. Febi's going to chunk him out just a little bit. And just a little bit more context on how well Selfie's playing this game, Vedius. In the previous 138 minutes of League of Legends gameplay he has been in the LEC this split, he has got 8 kills. In this 45-minute game, he has got 8 kills. He's playing out of his mind, and really showing why Vitality have put some faith in him.
This is the deep flank. This is the Cabo classic deep flank. He will be spotted, but look at how far behind he is. Enemy lines. Flash comes in from Denick. He misses the hook. That's big, Medic. That's big, but the Elder Dragon is being started. What about the rest of Vitality?
The problem for me is Vitality are so split, right? Misfits can either just go straight to the Elder, but if Comp and Steelback and Skeens try and step up towards Misfits, all that's going to happen is Misfits turn on them, because you still have Razork, you still have Dandan, you still have all of these engage tools. Now the question is Denick going to get caught out? Cabochard looking for him, doing things, Slow comes out, there's the Ruthless Predator as well. Cabochard's going to step into them all here as the Chaos Storm comes down. Febby stepping in, there's the True Shot Barrage Selfie. Takes a little
That's a lot though, Medic. That's a lot used. The Selfie ultimate is a lot of damage, and that cooldown isn't going to be up for the while. Same for Cabo, which means that Misfits should now feel pretty comfortable repositioning for this Elder Drake. The only thing that they have to be careful of is the amount of time it takes for Denick to get back onto the map. He's gone back to base, he's resetting.
Cabo's going to the inhib, buddy. Bevivin has a big flank off here, but maybe...
Oh, they're actually going 50-50 this. They're going 50-50
in the smite. Razork stepping forward, Glacial Prison hits onto the back line. It's Skeens who's caught out. Selfie trying to get a
good gravity field.
A good gravity field, as you say. It's on Skeens. He has to steal.
Oh, it resets!
The reset comes out and Skeens is dead. Oh no, he uses the stopwatch just in time with the Elder Dragon going down, and now Dandan can chase down onto Skeens. He flashes forward, but he can't quite land it. Razor going.
What's Renekton doing? What's Renekton doing?
Renekton is on the inhib. He's on the inhib, and yes, we said that already. He's going for the inhib, but here comes Vivian, and he's going to... They're all dead. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Cabochard is doing. Because Selfie tries to step forward, but he's gone as well. It's a quadra kill for Forbidden, and Cabochard, you can take the inhibitor, but we will take everyone else off the game. Misfits take the Elder. It was a 50-50 play. Desperation from Vitality, you have to feel, but this will be the game for Misfits, and they will equalize Mad Lion's scoreline.
Oh wow, Misfits' 4th place chances were on the line in this game. They had to win that team fight, and they were just able to pull it off. Cabo's gonna TP in. Can Febby get the penta?
We will see. A pentakill for Forbidden would be icing on the cake. He goes in, shuffles forward, Cabochard running. He's like, I'm not giving this one to you too easily, but there it is. There's the ace. Will it be a pentakill? Not quite, not in time. But Misfits take the win, and they go to 10-7, tied 4th place.